up, guys? So, continuing the Cannes Film Festival coverage, today's film I'm going to be talking about is the latest film from eccentric Australian filmmaker Baz Luhrmann. It's his musical biopic of the king of rock and roll, Elvis. I'm a pretty big fan of Baz Luhrmann. I wasn't too fond of his last film, Great Gatsby, but as you guys probably know, Moulin Rouge is a personal fave. I love Romeo and Juliet, Strictly Ballroom. So yeah, I was quite excited to see Baz Luhrmann was going to be at the Cannes Film Festival again. Fun fact, he hasn't made a movie since he opened the Cannes Film Festival back in 2013 with Great Gatsby. It's been nearly a decade since we've had some Baz-tastic chaos at the cinema. So yeah, I was quite excited to see his long-awaited return with a musical biopic about Elvis Presley. Both Baz Luhrmann and Elvis Presley are renowned for their showmanship. It did kind of seem like a match made in heaven. And I'll say this, when you watch Elvis, you know you're watching a Baz movie. Like, this hasn't been sanitized by a studio. This still very much has Baz Luhrmann's personality splashed all over. It's got all his usual traits and stylistic flourishes as a director. Like, the first, opening 30 minutes of this film is pure Baz-tastic spectacle. Just from, the opening introduction alone, there's so many, directorial choices and stylistic techniques which are quintessential Baz, a lot of twisty, windy camera shots, a lot of crash zooms, there's operatic music in the background. It feels a little bit tacky, but also epic. Baz takes us through the greatest hits of Elvis's life, from humble beginnings in Mississippi, then Memphis, then his stratospheric rise to fame as a singer and then also a movie star, and then him meeting his wife Priscilla, and also his residency in Las Vegas, and then sadly his tragic untimely death at the age of 42. Also, the film explores the complex relationship dynamic between Elvis, played by Austin Butler, and his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, played by Tom Hanks, because a lot of people blame Colonel Tom Parker for Elvis's untimely death, and the film attempts to sort of show his perspective. And like I said, the first 30 minutes of this film are pure Baz. It's very fast, it's hyperactive, it's flamboyant, it's entertaining, if a little bit garish, but after the scene where Elvis does this gig and he gives birth to his iconic hip wiggle, which sends women into a sexual frenzy, the film almost slows down a little bit. It's like Baz took a step back and said, okay, I've got all the energy out that I needed to, now we can just make this, a bit more relaxed. And yeah, it's kind of it's a less crazy tone. It doesn't feel like it's Baz going to an 11, it's like Baz going at a 7, I'd say. So yeah, the end result is that the film feels a little bit uneven overall. The tone isn't consistent all the way through. It's also a very long film, 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I respect Baz and his co-writers for trying to tell us Elvis's full story. The problem is, there's too much material from Elvis's life to jam-pack into 2 hours and 40 plus minutes. So, and what they try to do is they try to show us all the different facets of Elvis's life. Elvis the singer, the movie star, the loving son, the husband, the father, the Las Vegas residency legend. There's all these different facets of Elvis's life that the film tries to explore, but not every facet is given an equal slice of the pie. So some of these plot threads feel a bit underbaked, as well as some of the character dynamics between Elvis and those that were most important in his life also feel a bit undeveloped. I thought we needed a bit more from his father, Erwin, who's played by Richard Roxburgh, and also more from the relationship with him and his wife, Priscilla, who's played by Olivia DeJonge. The relationship between Elvis and Priscilla feels very underbaked. They maybe have 2 scenes to establish an entire relationship, and most of the other scenes that Priscilla's in, she's just kind of a passive spectator at Elvis's concerts. So when the time comes where Priscilla wants to call it quits on the marriage, there's no emotional fallout in this scene, even though the acting between Olivia DeJonge and Austin Butler is terrific. Austin Butler, I've only really seen him in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but Oh my god, talk about a star-making role for him. This is an incredible performance. There's been a lot of like people chit-chatting around the festival about like, is this like Oscar buzz for Austin Butler? Is he going to like be in the Best Actor category next year? And I'll say this, the Oscar buzz is justified. Butler sparkles in this film like a rhinestone jumpsuit. This is the type of transformational role about a notable figure from the entertainment industry that the Academy can't resist. They eat this stuff up. Elvis is just another film in a long line of the recent trend of musical biopics about iconic legends like Bohemian Rhapsody, Judy, Respect, Rocket Man, and now Elvis. I was really impressed by Butler's performance because we've all seen a bad Elvis impersonator in our time, haven't we? And it's so easy to do a character like Elvis Presley wrong or exaggerated or too big or just too caricature. But the performance I was oddly reminded of while I was watching this film was actually the recent Oscar-winning performance of Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, because both Tammy Faye Baker and Elvis Presley are two people who are very easy to do a poor, cartoonish impersonation of. But like Chastain, Butler manages to show Elvis the persona, the showman, the entertainer, but he also gets to the root of Elvis, the man. He nails Elvis's signature draw, his cadence, his physicality, his gyrating stage presence. It's a performance which has peaks and valleys. Like when he's on stage, he's up here, but in the quieter, tender moments with him and Priscilla or his family, we see moments of real sympathy or where he's lonely. And it just really rounds him out as a character. We all have an idea of what Elvis is in our heads, but Austin Butler really does add so many dimensions to his performance. Like, he still gives us Elvis the entertainer, but he never takes it too far to a point where it feels like he's a cartoon. I can't really say that about Tom Hanks' performance as Colonel Tom Parker. This performance, I think, is going to divide people. It's a very hammy performance from Tom Hanks. I don't know, there were bits of it I didn't mind, and then there was just other times where I was just like, oh, he's really sticking out like a sore thumb, like next to Austin Butler, who's really getting it right. It's kind of a strange notion to think that someone could outshine Tom Hanks in a film, but Austin Butler takes Tom Hanks to church. I could see Tom Hanks maybe getting a Golden Globe nomination for this performance, but I could also see him getting a Razzie nom as well. But I'm having a very tough time trying to criticize Tom Hanks because he's Tom Hanks, he's beloved, and I feel like maybe he knew going into a Baz Luhrmann project, the performance required him to be a little bit bigger and a bit more eccentric, but yeah, does it work? That's the question. What did you guys think of Tom Hanks' performance? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, let me know if you think Austin Butler will get an Oscar nomination for this performance. I'm keen to hear what you guys think. As for the rest of the film, there's 3 things you can always expect in a Baz Luhrmann film: lavish visuals, a banging soundtrack, and Catherine Martin. And yeah, Elvis is no exception. You get all 3. Again, because this is a Baz film, he's very much about the glamour and the opulence. Like, even the Warner Brothers logo, which starts the movie, is bejazzled. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm watching a Baz Luhrmann film. But also, because he works with his wife and collaborator Catherine Martin on everything, you know you're gonna get gorgeous sets and costumes. And I mean, it's Elvis Presley. The man has some of the most iconic fashion looks of all time. Like, 5 or 6 different things pop into my head clothing-wise when I think of Elvis Presley, and Catherine Martin just gets to have a lot of fun recreating them. She also does the sets for like the International Hotel where his Las Vegas residency was, and Graceland, of course, you know, the Presley home. She's done a wonderful job here as always, just absolutely gorgeous work from Catherine Martin. She's another one I can see getting nominations for the Oscars. I mean, every time Baz releases a film, Catherine Martin always gets nominated and often wins as well. Like, she got it for Moulin Rouge and Great Gatsby. Will they give it both costume design and production design though? Let me know in the comment section below. The soundtrack for this movie is amazing. Baz always manages to get about 20 pop stars on board for it. In this you've got Eminem, Doja Cat. I really like the song by Doja Cat. And Måneskin, who won the Eurovision Song Contest 2 years ago, they're in this. There's also a moment in the film, it's like a montage scene, where a little less conversation is playing, and it's mixed in with like Britney Spears' Toxic and Backstreet Boys' Everybody. And I was just like, who comes up with this stuff? But I thought it was bloody brilliant. All right, so let's ask them 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Yes, I am. I'm actually gonna go see this next week with Glenn, because he's a big Baz Luhrmann fan. So yes, I'm definitely gonna watch this film again. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Like all of Baz's films, it's gonna be down to your own personal taste. If you're a fan of Baz's work, then yes, this is right up your alley. I think it does do a pretty good job of telling his story. It might have worked better as a TV series because there was a lot to unpack in this movie, but it gives you the greatest hits of Elvis's life, and it is a lot of fun watching it, and it's, you know, eccentrically shot. It's, you know, it's Baz, so it is what it is. So yeah, make of that what you will. And third question, what score to give it out of 10? I still had a pretty good time watching Elvis. It's one of those movies which is fine, but it's elevated by the skill of an actor's performance, which is Austin Butler as Elvis. He makes this film, he carries it. It's an incredible star-making turn from him. Like, this is gonna launch him into bigger things, and it's worth watching for his performance. Like I said, it's a bit long. Tom Hanks's performance is a bit but I was still entertained, and there was a lot about it that I liked looking at and listening to. Like, the music was good, the sets, costumes. So yeah, I did have a pretty good time watching this. It's just, overall, the film feels a bit uneven. So I'm gonna give Elvis a score of 6.5 out of 10. There you go, guys. That was my review of Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. Are you guys excited for this film? Will you be watching it? If you have seen it, what did you think of Elvis? I am keen to hear what people think of this movie, and also let me know your rankings of like the Baz movies. I wouldn't put it as high as Moulin Rouge or Romeo and Juliet, but it is higher than Great Gatsby, I'd say. Whatever you have to say, let me know in that comment section down below. If you guys have enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars-related content, don't forget to click subscribe. And if you want to stay up to date with all my Cannes Film Festival coverage, be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's all in that video description down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Had to be done.